When we look at our cluttered spaces, filled with objects we no longer use, we feel an invisible weight on our shoulders. This weight goes beyond simply accumulating things. It's a reflection of our restless minds, impulsive choices, moments when we said yes when we should have said no. Japanese minimalism isn't just about having less, but about feeling more. Feeling more space, more time, more freedom. Imagine stepping into an environment where every object has a purpose, where natural light dances freely between the walls, where the air feels lighter, fresher. This isn't an impossible scenario, or one reserved only for decorating magazines. It's something that can be within your reach, in your own home, transforming not only your spaces but also your way of life. When we think of traditional Japanese homes, we visualize serene, organized environments where each element has been carefully chosen. It's no coincidence that these spaces convey so much peace to us. They reflect a centuries-old philosophy that values simplicity, functionality, and the understated beauty of everyday objects. The problem is that, over time, we end up accumulating much more than we need. We keep items just in case, buy things on impulse, receive gifts we don't use. And so day after day our homes become fuller and our minds heavier. It seems like we never have enough space, even though we continue to buy more shelves, more cabinets, more storage solutions. The truth is, we don't need more space, we need fewer things. And we don't need fewer things just to have a beautiful home, but to have a fuller, more conscious life. When we reduce the excess, we create not only physical space, but mental space. We create time that was previously spent cleaning, organizing, searching for things amidst the clutter. Think about the last time you looked for something at home. How much time did you spend? How often have you felt frustrated because you couldn't find what you needed at the moment? This is just one of the many hidden costs of clutter. There's also the emotional cost. The feeling of incompleteness, of never being able to keep everything in order, of always being one step behind in the battle against domestic chaos. Japanese minimalism teaches us that less can be more, much more. When we have only what we truly use and love, each object takes on a new meaning. That teacup isn't just a cup, it's a moment of pause in your day. That blanket isn't just a decorative item, it's comfort on cold nights. It's the hug you give yourself after a tiring day. Transforming a cluttered environment into a space inspired by the Japanese style doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey, a process of conscious detachment and reconnection with what truly matters. It starts with small decisions, small changes that, over time, completely transform not only your home, but your relationship with everything in it. A minimalist home doesn't mean an empty or cold home. On the contrary, it means a home where each element has been chosen with intention, where there's space to breathe, to think, to simply be. It's a place where beauty lies in simplicity, in the authenticity of the materials, in functionality without excess. Let's start with the basics. Why do we accumulate so much? The answer is complex and personal for each individual, but it usually involves some common patterns. We buy on impulse, keep things for emotional attachment, accumulate out of fear of needing them in the future. Our consumer society also constantly bombards us with messages that associate happiness with acquiring new items. We buy not only objects, but the promise of a better, happier, more fulfilled life. The first step to transforming any environment is understanding that change starts from the inside out. Before reorganizing shelves or buying new storage solutions, we need to revisit our relationship with objects. We need to ask ourselves, does this bring me joy? Does this have a real function in my life? If I didn't have this today, would I buy it again? These simple but powerful questions can guide the entire transformation process. They help us distinguish between what we really want to keep and what we're keeping only out of habit or insecurity. Another fundamental principle of Japanese minimalism is the idea of a place for everything. When each object has its designated space, order is maintained naturally. We don't need to do major periodic reorganizations because daily maintenance becomes simple and intuitive. Imagine walking into your kitchen and knowing exactly where every utensil, every ingredient is. Imagine opening your closet and seeing only clothes that you actually wear and like. Imagine not having to rummage through drawers looking for important documents because everything has its specific place. This spatial clarity translates into mental clarity. An element often overlooked when we think about organization is empty space. In Japanese design, the concept of ma, the space between things, is as important as the objects themselves. It's the space that allows each item to breathe, to be appreciated individually. It's also the space that allows our minds to rest, that aren't constantly stimulated by excess visual information. When we start to value empty space, we stop feeling the need to fill every available inch. We realize that a wall without pictures can be as beautiful as a gallery full of them, that a table with a few carefully arranged objects can be more impactful than a cluttered surface. Colors also play a crucial role in creating environments inspired by the Japanese style. Traditionally, these spaces favor neutral and natural tones, whites, creams, browns, soft grays. These colors don't compete for our attention, but create a serene backdrop where we can truly relax. Think about the difference between walking into a room painted in vibrant colors and full of prints versus walking into a space with walls in neutral tones and few decorative elements. The first stimulates, energizes, perhaps even agitates. The second calms, centers, invites presence. Natural materials are another essential component of this style. Wood, bamboo, paper, cotton, stone, elements that reconnect us with nature and bring texture and depth without ostentation. These materials age gracefully, developing a patina that tells stories, that reveals the passage of time in a beautiful and authentic way. Unlike plastic and synthetic objects that lose value with use, natural materials often become more beautiful, more interesting. A wooden board marked by the preparation of countless meals, a handmade ceramic with small imperfections that make it unique, a cotton fabric that becomes softer with each wash. These objects not only survive the test of time, they celebrate it. Lighting also completely transforms any environment. In the Japanese style, natural light is valued above all else. Windows are left unobstructed to allow maximum light to enter. At night, indirect, soft lighting is preferred, which creates cozy environments instead of excessive exposure. We often don't realize how lighting affects our mood, our well-being, until we experience the difference. Try spending a day at home using only natural light and indirect lighting at night. Observe how this affects your rhythm, your energy, your ability to relax when the sun goes down. The transformation of a cluttered environment doesn't have to be traumatic or radical. It can start with small corners, small gestures. Perhaps your desk, which, when simplified, allows for greater concentration. Perhaps the entryway, which when organized creates a more harmonious transition between the outside world and your home. Perhaps the bedside table, which when freed from the accumulation of books, medicines, and electronics, provides a more peaceful awakening. The kitchen is often one of the most challenging environments when we talk about organization. Utensils accumulated over the years, rarely used appliances, expired products in the back of the cabinets. A kitchen inspired by the Japanese style prioritizes functionality and simplicity. Only the really necessary utensils are at hand. Surfaces are kept clear for food preparation. Ingredients are stored in simple, preferably transparent, containers that allow you to easily view the contents. Imagine preparing a meal in such a kitchen, without having to move things to free up space, without looking for utensils in cluttered drawers. The very act of cooking becomes more fluid, more enjoyable. And when we're done, cleaning is simple because everything has its place to return to. The bathroom, in turn, often becomes a storage place for beauty and hygiene products. We try something new, don't like it so much, but keep it just in case. We buy on sale and stock up more than we actually use. A bathroom in the Japanese style is functional, clean, without excess. Only the products we actually use daily are visible. The rest is stored in an organized manner, or better yet, not accumulated in the first place. The simplicity of this environment invites us to more conscious, less rushed self-care rituals. A bath becomes a moment of true relaxation, not just a hygienic obligation between one task and another. The bedroom, our personal refuge, deserves special attention in this transformation. It's the first environment we see when we wake up, and the last before going to sleep, thus shaping the beginning and end of our days. A bedroom in the Japanese style is almost Spartan in its simplicity. The bed, often a futon that can be folded during the day, occupies the central role. Few auxiliary furniture, soft lighting, neutral colors that invite rest. Studies show that we sleep better in orderly environments with few visual stimuli. By simplifying your bedroom, you're not just creating a more beautiful space, you're investing in the quality of your rest, in your long-term health. The living room, traditionally the most social space in the house, can also benefit enormously from the principles of Japanese minimalism. Instead of a huge sofa facing a dominant television, we can create environments that facilitate conversation, real connection between people. Low seating, a central table for sharing tea or light meals, few decorative objects chosen with intention. Such a room isn't less welcoming, on the contrary. By eliminating visual and physical distractions, we create space for what really matters. Shared moments, meaningful conversations, comfortable silences. Even the transition spaces, hallways, lobbies, stairs, deserve consideration in this journey of transformation. Traditionally kept free of decoration, these spaces serve as visual pauses, moments of breathing between one environment and another. Keeping these areas free of objects isn't neglecting them, it's honoring their original function. The home office, an increasingly present reality in our lives, is perhaps the environment that benefits most from a minimalist approach. A clean, organized workspace without distractions allows for greater focus and productivity. Only the essentials remain in sight. Computer, some reference materials, perhaps a plant to bring life. Everything else is stored or ideally eliminated if it's not really necessary. Many productivity studies confirm what the Japanese have intuited for centuries. Our ability to concentrate is directly linked to the organization of the space around us. A cluttered desk isn't a sign of creative genius, it's an invitation to constant distraction. Throughout this journey of transformation, it's important to remember that the goal isn't to create a perfect showroom, but a functional home that supports your real life. True Japanese minimalism doesn't exist for photographs or to impress visitors. It exists to create an environment that promotes well-being, tranquility, and awareness in everyday life. It's also worth noting that this transformation doesn't happen all at once. It's an ongoing process, a daily practice of conscious choices. We start by eliminating the obvious, what we clearly don't use or doesn't bring us joy. Then we move on to more subtle layers of simplification, continuously refining our relationship with objects and space. An effective technique is to work by categories, not by rooms. For example, gather all the clothes in the house and then decide what to keep, then all the books, all the documents, and so on. This method allows us to really see how much we have of each category and make more conscious choices about what we really want to keep in our lives. Another approach is the one in, one out rule. For every new item we bring home, something must leave. This keeps the total volume of possessions constant and forces us to carefully consider each new acquisition. Do I really want this enough to get rid of something I already have? And we can't talk about transforming environments without addressing our relationship with consumption. Japanese minimalism invites us to buy less, but better, to choose quality over quantity, to value craftsmanship, durability, repair. In a world of fast fashion and planned obsolescence, this is perhaps the most revolutionary part of this philosophy. Imagine buying a piece of clothing knowing that it will last for years, not just a season. Imagine choosing a piece of furniture for the quality of its construction, not because it's fashionable now. Imagine valuing objects that can be repaired when they break, instead of simply discarded. This change in the way we consume not only creates more harmonious homes, it also significantly reduces our environmental impact. Less waste, fewer natural resources extracted, less energy spent on production and transportation. What starts as an aesthetic choice ends up becoming an ethical choice as well. Gratitude is another central element of this philosophy. By reducing our possessions to the essentials, we naturally begin to value more what we keep. That coat isn't just one of dozens. It's the coat, chosen consciously, kept with care. Those few books on the shelf aren't just part of a collection. They're works that have truly touched our souls, that deserve space in our lives. That gratitude extends beyond just objects. We begin to appreciate the space itself, the light streaming through the windows, the silence that exists when we're not surrounded by excess. We start to notice details, nuances, subtle beauties that previously went unnoticed amidst the visual noise of clutter. Japanese minimalism also invites us to consider multifunctionality. Instead of having a specific object for every function, we can seek out versatile items that serve multiple purposes. A table that works for both meals and work. A bench that also functions as storage. A space that can be reconfigured as needed. This flexibility is particularly valuable in smaller homes, where every square inch needs to be maximized. But even in larger spaces, multifunctionality frees us from the need to accumulate rarely used objects. Maintenance routines are another fundamental aspect of this philosophy. Instead of large, occasional cleanings, we adopt small daily habits that maintain order naturally. 5 minutes organizing the kitchen after each meal, returning each object to its place after using it, regularly cleaning surfaces before dirt accumulates. These micro-routines, when integrated into our daily lives, transform home maintenance from a chore into an almost meditative practice. Each small gesture becomes an affirmation. This is my space, and I value it. I deserve to live in an environment that supports me and brings me peace. The cycle of the seasons is also honored in this approach. Instead of keeping the same decorative objects year-round, we can make small changes that reflect the present moment. A seasonal flower arrangement, lighter textures in the summer, more cozy ones in the winter. These subtle transformations keep the environment alive, connected to the natural world and its changes. This attunement to the seasons reminds us that nothing is permanent, not even the organization of our home. Spaces, like us, are constantly evolving. What worked perfectly a few years ago may no longer serve our current life. Minimalism gives us the fluidity, the freedom to adapt, adjust, evolve. An often overlooked aspect when we talk about organization is the impact of scents. A truly harmonious environment doesn't just look clean, it smells clean, fresh. Natural cleaning products, gentle incense, aromatic plants can completely transform the experience of a space without adding visual clutter. And we can't forget the role of plants in creating environments inspired by the Japanese style. A single well-cared-for plant can bring more life to a space than dozens of decorative objects. Plants connect our hermetically sealed homes with the natural world outside, improve air quality, and bring movement and subtle change to our surroundings. Contrary to what many think, Japanese minimalism is not a philosophy of deprivation. It's a philosophy of abundance. Abundance of space, of time, of attention. When we eliminate the excess, we create space for what really matters. When we simplify our home, we complicate our experience of it. We notice details, appreciate nuances, develop a deeper relationship with our surroundings. True luxury is not in the quantity of things we own, but in the quality of the experience we have with each of them. A single cup of tea, enjoyed in silence in a serene environment, can provide more pleasure than a cabinet full of rarely used dishes. A simple meal, prepared with fresh ingredients and served with intention, can be more satisfying than an elaborate banquet consumed distractedly. This kind of luxury, the luxury of mindfulness, of awareness, of presence, is within reach of all of us, regardless of our financial resources. It doesn't depend on buying the right objects, but on cultivating the right attitude towards the objects we already have. At the end of this journey of transformation, what emerges is not just a more organized, more beautiful house. It's a new way of inhabiting the world, a more conscious, more intentional, more present way. We start wanting to change our spaces and end up transforming our lives. Cluttered environments become serene, not through the magic of organization techniques, but through a fundamental shift in our relationship with the material. When we stop seeking happiness in accumulation and start finding it in simplicity, everything else follows naturally. This is perhaps the deepest teaching of Japanese minimalism. True beauty lies not in the objects themselves, but in the space between them. It's not in what we add, but in what we consciously choose not to add. It's not in sterile perfection, but in the authentic imperfection that tells the story of a real life, lived with intention. Your home doesn't need to look like a Zen temple to incorporate these principles. It can be colorful, personal, unique, as long as each element is chosen with awareness, as long as excess is avoided, as long as the space to breathe is valued. The invitation is simple. Observe your environment with new eyes. Question what really needs to be there. Experiment with removing, simplifying, decluttering. Feel the difference not only in the space, but in how you feel in it. And remember that this is an ongoing journey, not a final destination. Each small step towards simplicity is a victory. Each object released with gratitude is space gained to live more fully. Each moment of conscious appreciation of what we already have is a step towards a life of greater contentment. Japanese minimalism offers us not just an aesthetic, but an ethic, a way of being in the world that honors limited resources, that values quality over quantity, that finds beauty in simplicity. In a world of excess, this may be the most radical revolution, choosing less, living more. By Japanese minimalism, path to inner peace, emotional clarity, and spiritual freedom. Share this blessed video so that it can touch and help other people like you and me. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for being part of our faith community. If you would like to support our channel a little more, consider becoming a member of our channel. I leave here 2 more videos so that you can continue your search. Thank you and God bless you all. See you later.